So this has got the Frigidaire. We're going to be changing out the control that lives behind here because the bake feature is not working, so the little relay on the back of the control is no longer sending power. So we're going to be removing the old one, putting a new one in. So first thing, we're just going to slide out the old one, or slide out the range so we can unplug it. You can also just turn off the breaker, but you want to make sure there's no power. So I'll just unplug it here. There we go. So we want to try to remove these plastic nuts or bezels. So I'm using lefty-loosey to spin that off, and you may need to use pliers just to get it started. So that's after we had taken off the knobs. That one off. Grab this one. Give it a little turn to start it. We got that one and that one to take off too. So once you get it loose, you can get it off by hand pretty easy. This one off. There we go. That one off. This one off. You just have to loosen it. Now we can get this plate to come off and we can get to the control. So we're just going to wiggle it toward us. There's the control hanging out right underneath it. So we have the bezels off that we're holding on the top panel. Here's our new control. And I'm going to lift up the old one. I'll give you a little extra wire here. Let's set this down. And we just have to remove these connectors here and these connectors here. And we'll remove these screws so we can do the old switcheroo. So I'm just going to use a little standard head screwdriver. Again, we do have the power off, very important. Pry back on this little guy, and I can lift that one up. So we have that one out, and these are all very modular, so you can't get these connections wrong, so you don't really have to take a photograph. We have the larger one, same thing, we're going to just pry back on this, and then we can lift it off. So we've got those two modular connections off, the big one here, and then the little one on top. We got those out of the way, and we have to get the connections here that go to the control panel loose, and then we can take these screws off. I'm just grabbing this, pinching it, I'm going to wiggle it up toward me. That'll come out. Do the same on this one. It comes out. So all of our electrical connections are out. We just have to remove these screws now. So we've got the screws out. Here's the last one. Spin this guy out. Okay, all the electricals are disconnected. Those are out, those are out. And one of these relays, the bake, I'm not sure which one the bake one is just malfunctioning. So we'll replace this unit. We're gonna just lift it out. Got a little tape connected there. Let's pull back on the tape gently. And we'll lift off the old one, run the new one, line it up on the holes. There we go. So we put the screws back in and get this tape attached. And we just put all the connections. So I pried the upper board back to see if I could see any damage. Top looks okay, but I think that relay, this one, was having trouble, because we can see when we turn it over, huge burn mark, maybe even there was even a small fire in there. And you can see that that solder joint right there is the trouble. So that was no longer sending power. So repairing that solder joint might even fix the problem with the relay. It looks like it was probably this guy was the bake. Just gotta make sure this little black thing lifts up first, and then when you get it in, just push it down to lock it. Pull that up. Push that all the way in as far as it'll go. And push down that little lock. It holds it tight. Same on this one. So first we're going to pull up that little thing, comes up. Put our control board connectors in. I'm going to push down to lock it in. It looks flat. Cool. Then we need to put in our electrical connectors here. So that's these guys. Closer. And we're just going to go right down onto these pins. Take your time, make sure you don't bend these pins. Line it up. Push till it locks. There we go. I'm going to do this one. Same thing. Push it down. Okay, that locked on, that locked on, that locked on. Push that tape back in. Side. All right, looking good. So we can put it back in and give it a test. Okay, I'm going to just put this panel back on now. Wires just fit in there. Here we go. It just sits right back where it was. And if you ever remove the drip pan, that gives you an opportunity to change or repair the igniters, and also back here the spark module. Pretty easy to do. And that pan comes off just by removing the little screws that are onto the Venturi assembly. So when you put these back, just make sure that this kind of nut type part of it is facing up, the round part's facing down. And take your time, just spin it on with your fingers, and you can get it a little bit tighter with your pliers. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more turn with my pliers, not much. It's just a plastic nut, so you don't want to over tighten it. A little bit of a turn. I'm going about 1/4 of an inch, eighth of an inch, 1/4 of an inch of a turn. A little bit. There we go. Got it. This burner back on. Burner knob. Go. Make sure the red one's pointing up. There we go. Got it back in. You get the 12 o'clock power failure, that's normal. So let's see, we can go clear. We'll do the clock. And let's do bake too, make sure bake's working. So we're gonna pick 350. Press start. Hear the relay click. In the meantime, we can do the clock too. see what we got here. Start already. Okay. So there's the sound we like. And that is the sound of oven heating up bubble. And now it's working good again. Just set the clock. We'll go clock, and we'll set the time. Okay. So you got to make sure it's all cleared first. Clock. And we'll set the time. 5:12. There we go. And then start. Got it. So time's good. All right. So back to baking.